Okay, now that we're in the back office, I want to show you one thing here. I'm using version 1.4.0.7. Now, as long as you're using some 1.4 version, it probably doesn't matter very much. And not too long from now, I would imagine the stable release of 1.4 will be out. But either way, this should work for pretty much any version of 1.4 that I'm aware of. So the first thing that we want to do, and I'm going to sidetrack a little bit here away from gzip and browser caching, and we're going to get a little bonus tutorial. Let's go to Preferences, and then let's scroll down here. Now I already have a video dedicated to setting up the .htaccess file and enabling the friendly URL, but since this is a new build for me, this 1.4 back office and store, I haven't done that yet here. And for those of you who have not enabled your friendly URLs yet, you should if you're being hosted with an Apache web server, which most people are. So first thing you want to do is just enable your friendly URLs, and you can get a much more detailed explanation of the benefits of friendly URLs in my video that's dedicated to friendly URLs and .htaccess file setup. So please go see that. Okay, so now that we've enabled, we need to save it. Click Save, and then scroll back down and read this. It says, if you turn on this feature, you must generate a .htaccess file. Now, why I went here first and kind of taught you this little bonus thing is because we need to do a .htaccess file anyway if this is a new installation for you. If it's not a new installation for you, you may or may not have a .htaccess file. You need to know for sure, because what we're about to do will overwrite an existing htaccess file, so just be aware of that. So I'm going to click here. You can see the hand, and it takes us to Back Office, Tools, and Generators. So we're in the Tools tab, and we're in the Generators section. Alright, let's just read this real quick. It says, warning, this tool can only be used if you're hosted by an Apache web server. If you don't know what that means, talk to your web host. Also, it says that this tool will automatically generate the .htaccess file that will give you the ability to do URL rewriting and catch 404 errors. If you don't have friendly URLs enabled when generating the .htaccess file, this feature will not be available. And that's kind of why I showed it to you, because as long as you're creating the .htaccess file, you might as well enable it. It's something that's very important to your store regarding search engine optimization. This is the next thing that we need to deal with. Before you're able to use this tool, you need to create a .htaccess blank file in the directory, and it tells you exactly where it's supposed to go. So essentially, we're going to have another part back here that says .htaccess. So I need to be in this particular directory. It even tells me where to go. And then it talks about a write permission, which we'll talk a little bit more about when we get to that point. Okay, so for those of you that have never created a .htaccess file, it's actually very simple. Going to minimize this. Okay, we're going to go to our Microsoft Notepad, and it's very simple. Don't need to spend a lot of time here. We're just going to create a .htaccess file. I'm going to save it to my desktop, which is already set up there. You can see that this portion was already highlighted, so I'm just going to type in a period htaccess and then hit enter or hit save, either way. So I want you to notice two things. First off, a .htaccess file showed up here, and then secondly, this .htaccess file is totally blank. There's nothing in here, okay? Which is exactly what we want. I'm going to minimize this, and we're going to open up our client, and when I get the client opened and to the right web server directory, I will come back. Okay, we've got our FTP client open, and we are in our version 1.4 store, and down below we've got our files and folders that come with the standard download. So if we scroll down, one thing that we need to do now is upload our blank htaccess file, and it's going to wind up coming up somewhere right in between this last file folder and this first file. So all you need to do is go over here and highlight it, grab it, and drop it into the 1.4 file folder, and it comes up right there. Okay, now with our .htaccess file in the right location, we need to check our permissions, because PrestaShop told us that we need to have a file permission of 666. I'm going to right click on this and hit File Permissions, and I want to show you something. I'm not going to change my settings to 666 since I don't have to because I'm using Bluehost. Now you may have to. You may have to change this just to make it work. So let me show you what happens. Right now, before I change this though, you can see that which boxes are checked and which boxes are not checked. So let's just change this to a 666, and you can see that two new boxes came up here which provide write permissions to both the group level and the public level. Well, that's a lot less secure than having the default permission setting that my host provides, which is 644. So here's what I would suggest. If you can have a higher degree of security, which is a 644, versus a lower degree of security, which would be the 666 setting that PrestaShop recommends, I would stay with a higher degree of security if your system works. Not everybody's system will work like that, so some of you might be stuck using 666. But it's pretty easy. Just change it, 666, and hit OK. And it actually changed the file permission, but you see the file isn't there anymore, so I think it put it down to the bottom. There we go. So now it's at 666. If I just refresh this, it'll come back up. There. Well, actually it doesn't. I'm sorry, it's sorting by file permissions apparently. I thought it was sorting by file names, but anyway, so here we go. We're at 666, but I don't want to leave it there. I'm going to put it back to the default. Go back to file permissions and go 644. So you'll have to see what works for you. Let's just be sure it's there. Okay, there we go. So we've got the file in the right location. We've got our permission settings set. Okay, let's head to the back office and take a look at the settings we need to choose in order to get gzip compression, the e tags, and then also our browser caching.